Greetings, everyone. It is Isaac Wells, the voice of Internet's Skeletor. You're watching Dragonfire Entertainment. And remember, listening to a podcast before bedtime is the adult version of story time. Until we meet again.
What's your poison? Let's drink it tonight. In the glow of the stars, everything feels right. Raise your glasses, let the good vibes pour. Together we'll sing, who could ask for more?
How's it going, everybody? Wildman Wess here, and welcome to another edition of What's Your Poison? Summertime is synonymous with a lot of different things out there, especially when it comes to our childhood, whether it be going outside and playing on a really warm day, playing video games when it rains outside, having some nice beverages that are kid-friendly, right? And also going out and doing sports and having some candy at the concession stand. Well, I have a couple different beers that are very reminiscent of my childhood, so we're just going to get started, okay? All right. Starting off today from Surly Brewing Company by way of Minneapolis and Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, we have Mr. Surly's Orange Whip Cream Ale. This is a 5.5% cream ale with orange and natural flavors added, and I had it a while back, and I can't remember exactly what it tastes like, but when I was mentioning the whole concept of things from my childhood that these beers really were reminiscent of, for me, during the summertime, we would go to our local ice cream shop known as Whitey's in the Quad Cities. They're really awesome. If you've never been out there before and you're on your way through the Quad Cities, you need to go there, get yourself some ice cream. You'll be glad you did. But I digress. I would usually get like an orange sherbet or something a little bit more fruity, especially on the really, really, really hot days. So I'm going to pop this open and we're going to have a taste. So far, the color to this beer is very golden, very, very clean. The head consistency, not too bad. Slightly dissipating, but it's still sort of there. But cream ales that I've noticed in the past tend to do that. The head does dissipate rather fast. We're getting that orange whip, that almost creamsicle smell to it already. It's very strong both on the 3-sniff and the drive-by, so let's just have a taste and see what we see. Yep. Smells like a creamsicle, tastes like a creamsicle, a little dry. Normally with a lot of cream ales, it's a hit or a miss when it comes to the dryness on the aftertaste. This one, the dryness is there, is very there. But that doesn't take away completely from the flavor profile and the aromas that we get. I'm going to have one more sip, and then we're going to figure out the grade for this bad boy. Though this beer is flavorful and it has the greatest aroma, it smells exactly like a creamsicle, the dryness and the heaviness of this right now is affecting me a little bit, even at 5.5%. Not a horrible beer at all. This is a very decent beer. Well balanced? That's in the eye of the beholder, or the beer holder as we've said in the past. For me, I'm going to say 3 3/4 out of 5 pows. As I mentioned, this beer has a lot of great taste. It has a great aroma, but the dryness and that heaviness, even at 5.5%, this is definitely not a sipper. As much as the flavor makes you want to think that, I would say definitely, yeah, this is a sipper. This is not a patio pounder by any stretch of the means. That being said, we're going to move on from a creamsicle and a childhood experience from my youth to another one that I think I'm not the only one that has this childhood memory, especially if you're from the 80s and 90s. We'll be right back. Next up today, we have from Voodoo Brewing Company in Meadville, Pennsylvania, the Lacto Kooler. This is a 5.5% Berliner style Weiss beer, and it's a fruited Berliner style. And as you can see, this is Lacto Kooler, and just judging by the can, we all know where this is going. It's Ecto Kooler. And we did have an Ecto Kooler style beer a long time ago when it came to Adventurous Brewing, and I'm excited for this one as well because Ecto Kooler was a big part of my generation, especially in the early 90s. Right around the time when Ghostbusters 2 came out in theaters, Ecto Kooler was also a part of the Ghostbusters mania. And I remember as a kid watching Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters as a kid during Saturday morning cartoon time block and having an Ecto Kooler. And I'm excited for this one, and I hope you are too, because if you had Ecto Kooler like I did when I was a kid, and you miss it even when it has made its resurgences and is gone again, well, for adults now, this is about as good as we can get it. And if it's good, it's definitely good. So far, we are getting a very off-golden. Oh, it's looking more light green than anything, like a lime green. It looks like Ecto Kooler already. That head consistency is very, very frothy. Ooh. Oh, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of that Ecto Kooler already. Very, very citrusy. I'm loving that already. It's bringing me back to my childhood. I'm trying to get more of the body on this one because it looks light because of the cleanness of the glass right now, but smelling it, I'm getting the feeling that similar to Surly's Orange Whip that we had a second ago, at 5.5%, this might be a little bit more heartier than what we're expecting. But we're going to stop talking and stalling, and we're going to have a sip. Ba-na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na-na, Lacto Kooler, ba-na-na-na-now. I misjudged the smell of the heartiness of this. This is actually a lot lighter than I was expecting at 5.5%. This could be considered a patio pounder, even though it is a little higher in ABV than what a patio pounder would be considered. But, the flavor is there. My mouth is watering. This reminds me of Ecto Kooler to a T, or to a G for Ghostbusters. Anyways, this is pleasant. This is beautiful. I'm a little bit nervous because I did love crossing the streams from Adventurous Brewing, and Lacto Kooler might have a chance of dethroning them on one of my favorite styles of this beer, and ooh! But that being said, I have to be honest on this, 5 out of 5, because you obviously know it's a beer, but the flavor... This is for nostalgic people of my generation who may not necessarily like beer, but have one of these, and you'll feel a little bit better about not necessarily liking beer, because it... Oh! I love this. And oddly enough, I wonder if you put ice in a glass and pour it over it, this could almost taste like a cocktail. So for those people out there that don't necessarily like the taste of beer, but want something that tastes like a cocktail, get yourself a can of some Lacto Kooler and pour that in, and you wouldn't probably know the difference. That being said, I'm going to finish this off as slowly as I can because we've got 2 more to go and more childhood memories. So we'll be right back. Next up today from Dimensional Brewing Company in Dubuque, Iowa, we have Swig League Brew. Looking at the can, you already know where this is going. It's Big League Chew. This is a 6.1% ABV watermelon bubblegum sour ale. I am going to pull back the curtain and be very, very honest. I have had this one before. I'm probably going to be biased because I remember when I had it, I loved it. And I just love the can itself because, guess what? It's time for a nostalgic moment. When I was a kid growing up, I played a lot of Little League baseball, and when you went to the concession stand, they had the regular little baseball bubble gums that you could get where it had single, double, triple, home run, strikeout, things like that. And you get those for about, depending on where you were at, 5 cents to a quarter. And then for about $1.50, you could get the pouch of Big League Chew. They had the original, they had the sour apple, they had the watermelon, they had the grape. Those are the only ones that I really remember. They may have made other flavors later on in the future, but those were the 4 that I remember vividly. And watermelon being one of my favorites, seeing it in beer form, well, I just had to get myself some cans. Oh, that is beautiful. Oh, being a sour, you can tell it's going to be slightly cloudy. Look ahead. Oh yeah, that is beautiful. Getting a bubblegum right off the drive-by. You get more of the watermelon on the 3 sniff. Well, drink. Tastes like watermelon, Big League Chew in beer form. This is perfect. It is a perfect game, so to speak. 5 out of 5. It literally has that perfect balance of bubblegum and watermelon, that sour aftertaste. It's not too sour either. This is also one of those beers like Lacto Kooler that for people that aren't necessarily beer drinkers have something like this because you're still drinking a beer, but you wouldn't really know whether it's a beer or even like a cocktail. Honestly, you could probably do shots of this. I'm not recommending it, but if you want, pay no attention now by the man behind the curtain. But in all seriousness, this is definitely a beer for people from the 80s and 90s that want a little nostalgia, want to go back down memory lane, but also be able to crack open a few beers and hang out with your friends and talk about those moments of what made you smile when you were a kid. Well, I'm going to finish this one up, and we've got one more beer. It's not necessarily some childhood nostalgia, but kind of. It's more of on a personal level, so we'll be right back. Closing out our summertime beers for the day, we have from Green Tree Brewing in LeClaire, Iowa, Bodhi Bouy West Coast Style IPA. This is 6.8%. And it says that it has a wave of bold hops and citrusy aromas, delivering a rush as exhilarating as catching the perfect break. Now, I did a little research, and the only hops that I saw that were in this were citrus. So I was a little bit thrown off and kind of disappointed to see that it only seems like there was one. There could be more, but the research I saw didn't show much else. But I am a fan of West Coast style IPAs. I'm expecting it to be, as it says, hoppy, hazy, citrusy, and just all around a good feel beer. And as you can see, we've got quite a lot ahead. We got a wipeout here. Somebody wiped out on their boogie board. It's not as hazy as I thought. Very golden to what I'm seeing right now. And while the head dissipates just a little bit, so we can pour a little bit more in there, I'm going to talk about a nostalgic moment that makes me think of this beer. Now, I am kind of phoning this one in because it's not necessarily something that I did every summer. Now, when I was real young, I would say probably about 8, 9, 10 years old, there were times when my brother and I were kids, my parents would take us on summer vacation trips, and a good portion of the time it was down to Florida. Now, there were times we went out to California, but that was only one time, I'll be honest. Yeah, it was one time in '94. We went out and saw everything from San Francisco to LA to you name it. But the one thing that any family that does a summer vacation to the East Coast or the West Coast, there's one thing that they have to do before they leave. They go to the beach. And looking at this can, you see a lot of palm trees, you see that orange, robust sky out there, whether it's the sun going down or the sun coming up, and it just makes you feel good. And I remember as a kid being out there on the beach, it felt right, it felt at home, even though I'm just a very pasty white boy from the Midwest. Oh, sometimes anyways, I'm not going to get into anything on that one. But as this head has dissipated, I'm looking, and it's still very clean. I was expecting a little hazier, but who knows? I actually only got one can, so I'm gonna have this sip, and hopefully it takes me back to a time when things were a little bit more simpler. The haze is definitely in the flavor profile. The hops, yeah, citrusy. Not as dank as I was expecting, but more dank on the mouthfeel, more on the aftertaste. And I'm gonna pour a little bit more in, because as I was mentioning earlier about that nostalgic moment of being able to go to the beach for summer vacation from time to time when I was a kid, obviously there's not a lot of people that were able to go and do those things, and it's very unfortunate. And I look back and think to myself, I was very blessed to have parents that worked really hard to be able to give my brother and I those experiences, even with going on road trips and around the country, with a lot of it being educational. We did take those times for that fun break, and unfortunately I wish more people could be able to do that, and who knows, maybe one day we all might be able to. I know that with being fortunate for my parents that did so much for my brother and I want to make sure that I do that for my family now, because being a new dad and everything like that, I lose sight. And I'm getting a little emotional in the moment, but you're bearing with me right now. This is what happens sometimes when you come to the bar and you have a beer and you hang out with your friends. You get real. And I wanted to get real with you once, because you know me as Wild Man Wess for so long, you need a little bit of realness once in a while. I am fortunate for the family that I grew up with, the family that I have now, and not just the family I have by blood, the family I have with all of you that come and watch this show whenever possible. Because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be doing it. When it comes to this beer, decently balanced, it's simple. Not what I was expecting, but not what I was unexpecting. I'm going to go ahead, and as simple as it is, I'm going to give this one 4 1/4 out of 5 pows. Because sometimes nostalgia is just that. It's simple. And sometimes with the world that we live in now, simplicity is hard to come by. And sometimes we have to come back to this just to remember our memories and think of something pleasant to offset the hardships. So to all of you dealing with hardships right now and need a little bit of nostalgia or just someone to talk to about things you remember that made you feel good, here's to you, and I'm here. Well, apart from that real moment, we really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you've had these beers before and you agree with the grades that I gave, leave a thumbs up. And if you've had them and you disagree, you can leave a thumbs down too. And I totally get that, because not every beer is for everyone. Also, make sure you share on social media. Most importantly, hit that subscribe button or push that little red button. I'm going back and forth on that one. But also ring the bell for instant notifications. Until then, I'm Wild Man Wess, and we will see you next time for one of our episodes of What's Your Poison, or all the other stuff I've been throwing out there for you, especially with all that nostalgic stuff. I know that the summertime right now, the heat gets, pretty bad. We're tired from work and everything else, but sometimes kick back, have a nostalgic break. Wild Man Wess is here to listen. Take care. Love you.
What's your poison? Let's drink it tonight. In the glow of the stars.